guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Winnie Matlangu. For those who are seeing this cute beautiful face for the first time, I hope you like the video, I hope you subscribe, and I hope you become part of the bestie bees. And to my bestie bees, my returning gang, welcome back to this beautiful channel. And I hope you watch the video till the end, and I hope you like and engage with the content. So as you would have seen by the title of the video, I'm doing a highly requested video from my law students who are following this page, who are following this channel. So I'm doing a how to prepare and study for law exams. So for those who don't know, I am doing my second year of Masters LLM at Rhodes University, and I'm also a teaching assistant at the law faculty. So basically what I will be sharing here, it is based on my experience as a former law student undergrad, as well as my experience as a teaching assistant. So before I even get into the tips that I'm going to share, I just want to share sort of a motivation, because I know at this time where it is exam season, that's where you just stress, you just want to pass, and everything is just too much. You're overwhelmed about the course, you're overwhelmed about the marks, and you're just how will I even pass this exam? First of all, you need to have positive attitude towards law. You chose law because you wanted it, so you have to put positive attitude. One thing about law, it is hard, it's going to be stressful, it's going to be depressing, it's going to give you mental breakdown and all of that. But with positive mindset and positive attitude, you can do it. So we're having positive mindset, we're having positive attitude from now on. You can do it. With all the tips that I'm going to share, you're going to pass your law exams. So the very first tip that I have is that you need to gather all the material that you need for the course. So by now, I think you should have your content, you should have your material, you should have all the chapters that you need to study for the law of property, for the law of contract, law of person, whichever law module that you're doing. So what I used to do as a student in my first year, second year, third year, obviously I'm not from wealthy family, so I don't have money to buy all the books that are needed. Okay, I would have book allowance, but then I will buy other textbook and still need other textbook. So what I will do is that, okay, firstly, I get the course outline, I read the course outline, I read the outcomes, and I read the material that is needed. And then what I do, I get textbook with the money that I have, and then see which textbook I couldn't buy. So with the textbook that I couldn't buy, I go to the library and make copy for each and every chapter from first term up until end of the term. So first term, second term, first semester, yeah, let's just say first semester. I used to have files for each and every module. So I would have a file for my law of property, and then obviously if I didn't have a textbook for the law of property, I would check the course outline. So maybe I need chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5. Go to the library with my friend, and then we'll make a copy for all these chapters. At the end of the day, if you really want to do well, you need to understand the textbook. You need to understand what the lecturer is trying to summarize from the textbook. So that's why the point of departure for each and every course is to read the chapter for each topic. Once I get the chapters, I go to case law. Which case law do I need? Because what I have realized is that if you don't do that at the beginning of the year, by now you don't have time to go to the library the whole day and make copies. Making copies is time consuming, and the fact that sometimes you have to wait for other people who are there to make their copies, that is time consuming. You might spend 6 or even more hours just making copies. So that's why I do that. So if you didn't do this at the beginning of the first semester, please make sure second semester you compiled all your material. So now you have your chapter, you have your cases, and then you have your article. So for me, I'm someone who used to reading hard copies. So I would even make copies of the journal articles, because I want to read hard copy, I want to highlight, I also want to reinforce using a pen so that I can see. So once now I have compiled everything, then I know that I'm sorted. Material is sorted. Then once you have compiled your material, the next step is to make sure also in your material, make sure that you include the past paper, because past papers are very, very important. So it should be in your file. So by now, you're having past papers, you're having the course content, you're having the course outline in your file. And then now you sort it, now you start studying. So when you start studying, obviously, it depends. Maybe you're attending online or you're attending face to face. So you have to attend all the lectures. So by now we're done, or you're still having like maybe 2 weeks to go, or 1 week, 1 more week to attend lectures. So make sure you attend. So how do you start studying? So you have to be proactive when you're studying. The fact that you're just going to study the textbook and that's just it, for me it never worked. I had to make notes. So while I study, I have to make my own notes that I'm going to put where, that I'm going to put in my file. So what I would do, firstly, I would sit down, read the chapter. So this is what chapter 1 is talking about. Then once I have read chapter 1, I sit down. I'm writing now my own notes. I used to type my notes because when I'm typing my notes, I realize that the more I type, the more I get the content into my head. So the best thing is to always either type your notes or write them down. So I would have my heading, this is chapter 1, and then this is the introduction. So most of the time, chapter 1 is the introduction. And make sure that you read the chapter 1, because chapter 1 is a broader scope of what you're trying to do in this module. So chapter 1 of contract will tell you everything that you're going to do in contract, first semester as well as second semester. Chapter 1 of the law of property will also do the same. So it's important that you read the chapter 1 and then you try and summarize it in your notes. You can summarize it or you can make copy and paste, but then that copy and paste, make sure that you either typing it or you're writing it down so that it gets into your head. So now that you have your notes, now you try to explain to yourself, do you understand these notes? Or you try to explain it to someone else, your friend, your boyfriend, whoever it is, to say, oh well, this year I'll be studying the law of contract, and then this is what the law of contract is about, just to see that you understand where you're going with the whole thing. Then compile your notes for all the chapters, the notes. So once you have the notes for your chapters, you read now the cases. You also need to make your own notes for your cases, just so that you understand the cases, because some lecturers want you to put the facts, the issue, the principle, and the judgment. And then some lecturers just want you to put the principle, but then you get that from the content that you have covered in class. So depending on what the lecturer wants, you summarize your notes in terms of that. So if the lecturer wants only the principles, then you need to highlight the principle in that case. So you will read the whole case and then pick the applicable principle to say, oh, this is the applicable principle. Why are you reading the whole case? You're reading the whole case because most of the time, problem type question comes from case scenario. So if you're given a scenario case on the case that you have read, but then you only read the principle, then you won't get very good marks. You've read the case, you have read the principle, you understand why the court said what it said, then you're likely to get good marks. So now that you have summarized your notes, you have summarized your cases, now what do you do? So now you want to put the content in your head. So putting the content in your head will require you to practice question papers, will require you to go to group study, to have a friend that you can work with. So during my year as an undergrad, I had a friend that I will always go to, so that we study together, so that we reinforce the content together. So if you don't have a friend, try to find a friend now. And then if you don't want just to work in pairs, find a group study. I find that effective. Either work with someone. It can be a friend, it can be group study, but then find someone that you're going to work with so that you reinforce the content. And then once you have done that, try to practice the past question paper. When it comes to law exams and law questions, they're all the time similar. What's going to change, it's the scenario, but then the manner in which the question is asked is always the same. So if you have mastered how to answer all the practice question papers, then you're going to do well. So what you will do, having said, okay, now I understand chapter 1. You understand chapter 1 because firstly, you have done the notes on chapter 1. You have attended a group study on chapter 1. Now you want to test yourself. Do I know this content of chapter 1 or do I not? How do you do that? You practice the question paper. You don't go to practice paper if you haven't covered the content, if you are not sure that you understand the content. So let's say, for example, you're doing the law of property and then you're doing servitude. You can't just go to the question paper and try to answer a question on servitude when you haven't like reinforced the content of servitude, when you don't know the applicable cases on servitude, when you don't know the legislation on servitude. You have to know that, and then now you're going to test yourself. You're going to say, now I understand the content. Now can I test myself that I really understand the content? And how do you do that? You practice the question paper. You ask the lecturer nicely and say, hey sir, hey prof, hey doctor, can you please go through my answer? I am trying to practice for the exam and I would like a feedback from you. Lecturers will do that. They will mark your paper and they will give you proper feedback. And then if you don't understand even after the feedback, like, thank you sir for the feedback, can I please book an appointment so that I can come and you explain to me in person where I went wrong because I don't understand. And or you will say, hey sir, I thought I understand what servitude meant and how it is applied or how is it enforced, but having read your feedback, I feel like I am not understanding the whole concept of servitude. Can I please come to your office if you are not busy so you can explain it nicely? Do that, and then the lecturers will always do that. They will give you feedback. They will be willing to sit down with you and explain and say, we'll see, this is where you went wrong, this is what you need to add, this is how you have to add. So by now I think you have what it takes, or you have the tips. So get the content already, try and make notes, try and find group study or peer studying and practice those question paper. Having that, now how do you go about answering a question? Because what if you have all this information but then now you're struggling with answering the question? When it comes to law questions, you always have to substantiate your answer with case law. You can't write a whole law answer without any case law, without any legislation. You need to at least substantiate. So under law, we know we have legislations, we know we have case law, we also know that we have common law. So yeah, case law, common law, it's the same thing. So the constitution, yeah. So those are like the primary source that you have to use when you're answering a law question. So let's say you're given a scenario. If you're given a scenario on a particular question, obviously you need to identify the legal issue based on the topic that you have covered in lecture. If you have covered a question on servitude, if you're given a question on servitude, you need to identify, you need to tell me that this question relates to servitude, this question relates to real security, this servitude relates to rights that a person may have in respect of property. Tell me in terms of the content that we have covered, because now I'm testing you and I want to see, do you know where is this in the course? Don't just put it like this relates to the question that you have been given. Put it down or narrow it down to what we have done in class and tell me. And then once you do that, you also tell me what is real security, what is servitude, because what you have to think of is that the person who's making my paper is a layperson. And then I need to be as detailed as possible when answering that question. And then you do that. You tell me what is real security. You also tell me why do you think that this question relates to real security. Convince me, like tell me that it relates to real security. Real security has been defined as this in this case. And then why are you saying that this is real security? And then what do cases say about this given scenario that you have been given? So how has the case applied real security in the given scenario? And then you give me a conclude, or you apply now. after having stated the law, and then you apply to show me now why you think this case is particular important in this given scenario. And once you have done that, you give me the conclusion to say, this is why I'm saying this is real security, and then this is my advice to my client. Because most of the time when you're given a problem type question, you are given a question to advise your client. So basically your client is someone who doesn't know the law. But then most law students, what they do is that they write their answer in a way that, oh, I know, the lecturer knows what is real security, the lecturer knows the principle, the lecturer knows that this principle are not applicable. But then your client doesn't know. Remember, you are trained to be a lawyer. You are trained to assist someone who doesn't know. So when I'm marking, I want to see if a client comes to Wusi and then Wusi is given a question on real security that I have taught her in second year, in third year, then I know that Wusi is going to do a good job because she has done a good job in this exam. Then I gave you marks. So that's basically how you need to think of a law answer or how to structure your law question. I know that this seems easy peasy, but it's not. But I believe that you can do it with practice and also making sure that you are organized and also making sure that you ask questions where you don't understand. Then I believe that you can do it. So basically, this is how I slayed my undergrad, and this is why I am doing my LLM now. So if I did it, then you can do it. And this is just the tips that I've used throughout my whole year, and I believe that sharing them with you will help you guys. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you stay, you subscribe, and you become part of this family. Thank you guys. This is the end of our video.